Let's start with this. I saw last week or the week before, maybe, I don't remember when this came out, but Rob Manfred did an interview, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, if you don't know who Rob Manfred is. He did an interview, and for whatever reason, was talking about the Astros again, about the 2017 sign-stealing scandal that they were involved in. Basically, they stole signs, they cheated, and they won a World Series because of it, and now we're supposed to feel bad for the Astros for some reason, and that's the thing, like, that's what bothers me most. I've said this before. That's what bothers me most about the Astros is that they cheated, got away with it because none of their players got in trouble and they just got to go back to work like nothing happened. And, they won the World Series by cheating. They were found out. They blamed the guy who leaked the information. They weren't punished. The players didn't get punished. And we're supposed to feel sorry for them because of the adversity that they went through. But they caused it. So I'm never going to feel bad for guys like Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve and George Springer and Carlos Correa and guys. I'm never going to feel bad for them. I'm just not, because there's no reason for me to, because they won a World Series. They cheated, got away with it because none of them, who got punished? What? The owner had to pay $5 million? Nothing for a billionaire. They lost a couple of draft picks? Well, they won the World Series last year. So clearly that didn't hurt them, right? What, their manager got fired? Great. He got suspended for a year. And then, now he's back with the Tigers. Alex Cora, bench coach, suspended for a year. Great. He's been back with the Red Sox. All right. The only guy the guy who got punished the most was Carlos Beltran, who was a player on the team who had retired by the time the scandal broke. And he was set to become manager of the Mets. And then the scandal came out and he was let go before he managed the game. That's the only guy I feel bad for, even a little bit. Because his time as a player was over, and his punishment was then, you don't get this new job, but now he's working for the Yes Network. So if I'm going to feel bad for anybody, it would be Carlos Beltran, even though, he was one of the guys who had spearheaded it. But anyway, I'm not going to feel bad for Jose Altuve and for Alex Bregman and for George Springer and Carlos Correa. I'm just not. It's just not going to happen. And Major League Baseball has done for the last 6 years this whole thing of they've overcome so much. You say that when somebody gets hurt or God forbid one of their teammates dies, that's something you overcome. You don't get to be such adversity when you created it by cheating and getting away with it because you won a World Series and nothing happened to you anyway. All right, have we done that? Every time something with the Astros comes up about their cheating, because the league will constantly say, we have to feel, look, they've persevered so hard. No, they're a bunch of cheaters. They're just not persevering. They cheated and got away with it. And then who's to say they're not still doing something similar? I don't know. Anyway, and yet, all right, let's bring this up. Let's just cover all the bases here. Yes, they should have come down more harshly on the Red Sox and the Yankees in 2016 when they found out, hey, you're using an Apple Watch, or it was an iPad or an Apple Watch or something, to steal signs electronically. And they should have brought the hammer down and said, hey, anybody else does anything like this, you're going to be suspended from baseball. Players, coaches, whoever, they should have said, Rob Manfred should have come out and done a press conference and a statement. He should have said, listen, we found this out. If anybody does anything close to this, better, worse, whatever, if you do anything using electronics to steal signs, you're going to be out of baseball. He should have come down and slammed his fist down and said that, and it would have stopped. It would have stopped immediately because these guys don't want to lose out on a year of their careers and money and all the things that come with it just because of something like that. So if you would have come down harder at the beginning and said, this is the penalty if anyone is caught doing anything like this, then it would have stopped right away. I promise you that. Okay, so now that we spent 5 minutes rehashing that, the reason I brought it up is because he did an interview in, I don't know, the Times or SI or whatever, and he was talking about how he should not have, he's like, maybe that wasn't my best decision to grant immunity to the Astros players in the investigation. Because what he did, he said, all right, you guys aren't going to get in trouble. Just tell me what happened. And I have two things to say about what he said. Number one, why are you bringing this back up? Because you can't do anything about it. It's already over. You've already levied the punishment you were going to dole out, and that can't be changed. And that I always thought that was a mistake, because the people who were benefiting from it, basically what happened is, oh, well, we didn't get in trouble, so who cares? So that bothers me. It was a mistake giving them immunity. That was a mistake. So why are you talking about it all these years later? Like, what is the gain, except for me getting to complain about this again on the show? What is the gain from this, from you doing this interview to whoever you did it to? And the second thing, the whole thing was, oh, if we grant them immunity, we'll be able to get all the information. There were definitely other ways. Like, you could have talked to staffers and whoever and gotten the information another way without having to say none of the players get punished, because the people who should have been punished are the players who were using all this stuff, banging the trash cans and the buzzers and doing all that other stuff. Those are the guys who should have gotten in trouble, because those are the guys who were using the system and who were going to benefit from it. They should have been in trouble, right? Yeah, sure, suspend the manager. Yes, okay. Fire the GM, whatever they did to the GM, whoever, what happened to that with the staff. Sure, find the organization, the owner, basically, a billionaire, $5 million, take away draft pick, great. Do all of that. But also punish the players who did it. Because, look, and I heard somebody on a podcast the other day talking about Jose Altuve. And, oh, he's having a good, like, his career numbers, like, he could be in the Hall of Fame. And the host, whoever mentioned that the sign stealing scandal should not disqualify him from the Hall of Fame, should not have any bearing on whether or not he goes into the Hall of Fame. And I have to ask, why the hell not? What is okay, here's my question. I understand this is a broad stroke, but here's my question. What is the difference, like at a base level, what is the difference between one of the guys who was stealing signs and knowing what pitches were coming and doing this, whoever, and Jose Altuve said, bah, bah, bah. All right, he knew about it and said nothing. He benefited, his teammates, his organization, they won the World Series, and then a lot of them parlayed that into bigger contracts, so that his teammates and he all benefited from this system that they knew was wrong and said nothing about it. So in my mind, he's just as guilty as the rest of them, whether or not he used it, because he knew about it and said nothing. And then gave like a forced hostage-style apology when it finally came out a couple years later. So here's my question. At a core level, what is the difference between a player being involved in the sign-stealing scandal on this scale, which a cheating scandal we've not seen in 100 years? What's the difference between being involved in that and taking steroids? Because all these guys who had used steroids or were perceived as using steroids are essentially blackballed from the Hall of Fame. Their numbers be damned, no matter what they were. The fact that Barry Bonds not a Hall of Famer is, I'll say that forever. And I was a big anti-Bonds guy for years. And then I came around and realized he still had to do it. All right, anyway, still had to hit the ball. Anyway, so at a core level, what is the difference between a guy using steroids and a guy using a camera in center field to steal signs from the catcher and to know what pitch was coming? Put them together. It's a guy who used something he shouldn't have been using to gain an advantage to win the game, to put up better numbers, to make more money, to whatever. It's a guy who used a substance or an avenue that he shouldn't have used and shouldn't have traveled to gain an advantage in his game. So breaking it down to its prime factors, just like that, what is the difference? Why does a guy taking steroids pretty much disqualify him from the Hall of Fame? But someone who was caught, who was involved, whose team was involved in the biggest cheating scandal we've seen in a century in Major League Baseball, why is he not immediately disqualified like someone who took steroids? Just on a base level, at its core, cheating to gain an advantage, cheating to win. That's what it is. Cheating to win, cheating to get ahead in the game. That's what they did. Sure, the methods were different. Sure they were. But the result was the same. Cheating to win. They cheated to get better, to do better at the game. They did. So why does one disqualify you from the Hall of Fame? Whether that's an official thing or not, we can tell it is. That's what happened, right? Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame because steroid things. That's what happened. Roger Clemens isn't in the Hall of Fame because steroid things. right? These are things that happen. These are reasons. This is what happened. But Jose Altuve, they're talking about him like, oh, he's on a short track for the Hall of Fame. And if you're saying over here Barry Bonds isn't, but Jose Altuve is, they both presume cheaters, but one is swept under the rug, and the other one, the guy's vilified for 20 years. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody who is thinking about this with a more clear head than I am. Someone let me know. What is the difference? Thinking about it at a core level, what is the difference between cheating using steroids and cheating using a camera to steal signs? Why does one disqualify you from the Hall of Fame and one gets you talked about like you're still this aw shucks beloved guy and should be in the Hall of Fame first ballot? Somebody let me know. You know what we're going to do? We're going to make that part YouTube exclusive because we went a little longer. So YouTube people, congratulations. You get a little bonus segment today.